Here comes someone. Is that Linda? Look behind you, Laura.
Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order, and the attendees, we've got Laura Robertson, John Marr, Amanda Matuzik, Chris Zimmerman, and myself, Carol Carey. And the first item is approval of the minutes, but I see that they're going to be presented in December.
Yeah, we'll have 2 sets of minutes in December.
I think we'll actually have 3 because I'm not sure we were able to approve the ones last month.
Oh, because we didn't have a quorum?
Right, we didn't have a quorum, so we'll have 3 sets of meeting minutes for December.
Okay, Linda and I'll double check that, but yes.
Okay. Privilege of the floor. I don't think we have anyone, right, Laura?
No, there's no one in the room, and I didn't receive any emails.
Okay. Next is any new business. Do we have any new business? I see we have discussion items. And Chris, one of the things that you had mentioned on recruitment and chair is on the discussion items. But any new business?
No new business for me.
Okay. John or Amanda, are you good?
Yeah. No business.
Okay. So let's move on to the discussion items. The first is the planning board referrals, the new projects. The first is the Mohawk Golf Club. So Laura, do you want to give us what's going on there?
Yeah, let me just share my screen, maybe. Oops. Too many screens. Sorry, hold on. Okay. Here. Okay. So let's go full screen. So this one, really, the planning board hasn't even looked at. Actually, most of these are really new. So
Okay.
we don't really have too many comments for you guys, except I want you to be thinking about them. If you have some preliminary comments, we can write them down, and I can just kind of show you what's going on and things to look at. I am 100% sure that these will get referred to you by the planning board. So this is a proposal for that little triangle of forest that's off of Ruffner Road on the Mohawk Golf Club to put in townhomes. And the area here that's all hatched out is proposed to not be cleared and remain forest. I have not personally walked the forest, but my guess is that there's probably some big trees in there. So I don't know if anybody's familiar. We probably want to go in there, see what kind of trees are along the edges, see what kind of trees are, sort of in the middle, so we can get a sense of how we want to do our recommendations. If we want to ask them to mark trees in there, what the forest looks like. I know when Carol and I went to Empire Drive, we were really impressed with the quality of that forest.
Right.
They're not always, that way. So it would be useful to just kind of know, just kind of get a sense of that forest so that we can make a good recommendation when our time comes around.
Okay. And it looks like they're putting in like 11 houses or townhouses.
Yeah, so this proposal would be to put in a road where there's an existing home, which will be a planning board thing that I'm sure a lot of people will have comments on. But then take that road back into that little section of forest and then put in.
Well, actually 22.
Well, right. So it's 11 buildings, but each building is a duplex. So it's 22 units. 11 buildings.
Where along Ruffner is this?
So it's close to Mountain View. Yeah, right there is Mountain View. Do you see down here? It's close to the intersection of Mountain View.
Is this where that hill is?
Yeah, it's at the top of the hill.
So this is golf course right now. You're gonna build on the golf course?
Yes, this is proposed to be on the golf course. So I don't know that we can necessarily walk the land yet because you'd kind of have to walk down somebody's yard to get in there.
Right. So that's the sledding hill.
Is there a sledding hill there?
Yeah.
Sliding Hill is by Linwood. This is closer to Rosendale Road.
Oh,
This is also Sliding Hill though, I'm pretty sure.
well, it couldn't be a sliding hill because it's like forest. Yeah, here,
Okay, okay.
Oh,
But it's owned by the Mohawk Golf Club?
it is owned by the Mohawk Golf Club. Can you guys see? Yeah, here, let me,
Oh, yeah.
I got the wrong stuff up here, but I'll move over to it.
And the existing home is going to be
The
demolished or something?
proposal is to take down that home so you can get back. Do you see this chunk of forest here? See, I don't think it could be the sliding hill because it's
Right, that's what I was thinking.
it's
Yeah.
just a chunk of forest. The proposal
Okay.
is to take down this 1245 house and then put the road in here. That barbell that you see would go here. But like you can see from the aerial, this is
Yeah.
substantial forest that probably hasn't had disturbance in quite some time, if I were to
Yeah.
guess.
Right.
I mean, it's probably not old growth or anything, but I bet you it's relatively impressive. I'm just guessing. I haven't been there.
What all the homeowners along Ruffin there think about this?
Well, so it hasn't even gone to the planning board. It's going on Monday, but I know that you guys are going to be critical to it, which is why I brought it to your meeting. But my guess is that it will not be popular
Right.
and that trees will be a big issue. And so I just wanted to put it on your radar before we get a ton of comments about it, just so you know.
Right.
It's
Okay,
So it looks
so there's
like,
nothing, oh, go ahead, John.
That was great.
Chris, it's Chris.
Oh, Chris, sorry.
So it looks like 9.9 acres to be disturbed.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it's around 10 acres. I don't know what percentage of that is forested, but it looks like a majority.
I would
um,
say the majority.
I would imagine we're gonna
Yeah.
propose with it. The homeowners aren't gonna like it, and the golfers aren't gonna like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we can't control who makes an application,
Yeah.
but I
Right.
do think that this one, it's going to have some tree issues. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you don't really have permission to go through people's homes or the golf club right now to look at it. But if you're driving down the road, you can kind of peer, at the trees in the backyards and, just kind of keep it in your mind. You may even just hear about it from other people or like on social media or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure you guys had a heads up on that one.
Okay, so there's nothing we can do right now.
Not right now. It's coming. Essentially, it's going to planning board on Monday, so they're probably going to refer it to you on Monday.
Okay. Amanda, can you speak into the microphone?
You have to turn it on, Linda.
As Linda.
Oh, sorry.
The one side is Ruffner and the other side is Millington.
Millington is down here. Millington is down here.
Yeah, so there's two.
Millington is way down here.
Oh, okay. Then what's the one that goes parallel with the,
Mountain View.
no,
Oh, Hawthorne.
go back to the old, the other neighborhood,
Oh, East Country Club Drive.
East Country Club. So you might be able to view it from
Yeah.
two,
Oh, that's
two
true.
angles.
Yeah, you might be able to just kind of peer in, just so we have a sense. I don't know. We're probably gonna have to walk it, but
Mhm.
you guys sometimes I think see things and hear things, so I just wanted to make sure you were aware.
Okay,
So this
Oops.
it looks like a double lane, like on the drawing. This is
Is a
new
boulevard
road.
entrance. Yeah, it would be a
It's
new
new.
road. Yeah,
It's not
brand
there
new.
now.
It is not there now.
Okay.
There's no step. That's the proposal. It needs a fair
Okay.
number of area variances and things that aren't that easy to come by. But my guess is that we'll definitely want to do a forest assessment and some recommendation even prior to the area variances. So we may have some short timelines on this one. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
okay,
The second one, which is also very new, is 2721 Balltown Road. I'm not sure that you guys saw this one probably before because they weren't. Oh no, I think you did see it once. They weren't.
and where is this on Balltown, Laura?
So this is where the old Aqueduct Animal Hospital was. I think
Okay.
you guys did see this one because you reviewed some of the trees that they had to take down, but they only had to take down like 3 trees to do it before, because all they were doing really was taking down the outbuildings that were associated with the animal hospital and then converting the animal hospital into a residential apartment building.
Mhm.
So that one had very little disturbance to land and trees. This new proposal, so if you can see this guy, The gray roof is the existing building, which now has 6 apartment units in it. And the proposal is to put 2 more buildings that are essentially like very similar, 2 more 6-unit apartment buildings, with quite a bit of impervious surface, and with over here is covered parking spaces. But you can see on the aerial, actually, they've even delineated sort of like the existing tree line here and then the proposed one. So some of this is field, probably wetland. We're asking them for a wetland delineation, but there's a decent amount of clearing back here too. And on this aerial, you can see there's a very large willow tree that we actually asked them to save the first go around, and it wouldn't be able to be saved with this proposal. If you're driving up and down Balltown Road, sure you're familiar with this willow tree. It's really big. It probably could have been submitted for our great tree hunt. So this one also just went before the planning board. I know that they'll need a tree council recommendation. So this one, you can probably actually even stop in and wander around that property. They won't mind. Yeah.
Okay. So, but they haven't formally asked us to submit anything yet.
No, because this is so preliminary,
Yeah.
and actually both these projects need a lot of area variances. But typically when they start discussing it and we get a lot of public comment, one of the big things is, has the tree council looked at it? And so I figured I would get ahead of it a little bit and at least get you guys the plans so that
Sure.
when you're in the neighborhood, you can take a look. But I don't have too much data. I think that their wetlands delineation on here is not correct. I think they just took a GIS layer. They don't have a true wetlands delineation yet. So I asked them for a wetlands delineation. That area is very wet.
Okay.
So it's good this is Chris. It's good to know about these. I guess just to minimize, certainly if folks want to look, that's great, but, just to minimize site visits, I'm just wondering to make an actual formal evaluation for trees of significance, that just let us know when that needs to be happening.
Yeah, I will.
I could probably go out to one of these sites, but
Yeah.
I don't want to go there until we have all the information.
Right. We're not
Right.
there yet. If you guys see something that you immediately know about, I can bring it to the planning board right away. But otherwise, it's probably going to be a month or 2 before you truly go out there.
Laura, I have a question.
Mhm.
These circles that are on like next to the parking areas,
Those are arborvitae.
Oh,
and then the ones next to the new proposed buildings, are those trees,
Those
supposed to be
are.
trees?
We have that on here. I know for a fact that those circles are arborvitae because he's already planted those ones. Not the ones for the new parking, but if you drive by, you'll see them. It's all arborvitae along because it shields the parking. It shields the headlights to that existing
I
home
think a
over
lot
there.
of them are dead.
They were. He did replace
He
them,
did?
I think,
Oh.
prior to submitting to the planning board for more buildings.
Okay.
But I'll definitely have to clarify. My guess is that those are more trees, but
Okay.
they're so close to the building, and I don't think that taking the forest down is necessarily replaced by arborvitaes. Like
Right.
you're definitely going to need the arborvitaes to shield like the adjacent properties. But I think, we said this before, and I remember talking to him about it. Like we asked him to plant some trees along Balltown Road because this is very open, and a tree came down, actually not of his doing. It came down in a storm, like right before he took over the building. So there's not a lot of trees down in this corner. So I definitely think we should look at requiring a line of sort of trees along Balltown Road.
It's actually, just this past week, I was driving along there and I thought exactly, I looked at that
Needs
building and said, we need trees here.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Yep.
yeah.
Because it had one,
Yeah.
but it came down in the storm.
Okay. Any other comments on this one? So Laura, you'll let us know on the previous one and this one when we should, actively.
Do a formal sidewalk and recommendation,
Yeah.
yes, but I do want to make sure they're on your radar for thoughts.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, the next one is the Holocaust.
And this one is
Memorial.
really more just a report to you because if you're driving by, I like for you guys to know what's going on. The Holocaust Memorial came back to the planning board. They had been doing some small ceremonies and didn't realize how loud Troy Schenectady Road is when they were out there. It's very hard to hear, and it's sort of like supposed to be a place for quiet reflection, but Route 7 is very loud.
Yeah,
So this is the existing planting plan that we approved probably like 2 or 3 years ago. But what they did was they superimposed it on top of a berm, and I had them double check to make sure that all these things can still be planted like higher up because that's obviously going to be a drier environment. But they did think it would be okay. So they superimposed the planting on top of a berm. They're still keeping the existing trees, but they do want to put in the sign. And to put the sign in, they do sort of have to clear these sight lines. So you will see a little bit of clearing along the front there so that they can install the sign. But it didn't really change their planting plan except for they added a berm. It is just,
do they think the berm is really going to muffle the noise?
so they do. It's actually a pretty high berm too. It's
Because I live on Mohawk down at the end near Rosendale, and I can hear Route 7.
It'd probably help. It's a 7-foot high berm in places, 6 to 7 feet.
Okay.
So I was just trying to see if they had the species there. Their landscape architect double checked everything, and I counted and made sure they didn't lose any plants to add the berm. They thought about losing some plants, but I made them put all of them back on.
Are you gonna put trees or bushes in front of the berm?
So these trees here are
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
gonna keep the screening. A lot of that I've been in that forest. It's mostly buckthorn. So
Which forest are you pointing to, Laura?
the Holocaust Memorial Forest.
No, I
Probably-
just mean whereabouts.
right in here, it's mostly
Okay.
buckthorn that they're taking down. I think that if you were to get farther back into that forest, it would probably be better. But right along Route 7, it's all buckthorn. I've been in there. I didn't see the trees are still red maples and oaks, but all of the understory that they need to clear for the sign, I think I only saw buckthorn in there.
So how far down Route 7 is this?
It's like, I don't know if you can see it on here. It's right close to the intersection where you have that old Troy Schenectady Road that does that loop
Right.
down to
Right.
the dip. And like just a little bit ways is the entrance to the Most Holy Redeemer Cemetery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And Laura, how far along are they with this?
They're pretty far along. But they haven't. So when the planning board reviewed it, they didn't want them to truly start construction until they had all their funds, because they didn't want. They were concerned that you'd do all that clearing and then not have the funds. So the developer promised not to start really until they had all the funds. But they're getting close enough that they wanted to put a sign so they can kind of like cross the finish line, so that if they're asking, donors for more money, they can have them drive by and see where it is, because people still don't really understand where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Laura, just a quick question. So are they going to be utilizing the landscaping plan that we improved in the past?
yes.
There isn't any details on the current plan that you sent.
No, well, the current plan, which I double checked before I gave it to you guys, has the same number or more, and they're actually in a very similar configuration. So the only thing that they changed to the landscaping plan is right here where the berm was, and they just had to make sure that these plants could still be put on the berm, so we're not losing any of the landscaping that we approved, which I double checked. I think there's actually one more. I'm sorry that I didn't have the species. I checked them before I put this on, but I only put one page in your document. But these are supposed to be very like thick branching shrubs. so that they will block the view from Route 7 as much as possible.
But they're not conifers, right?
They may be a mixture, but the majority of them are not conifers. But
Okay.
I think he chose, because I remember we worked with the landscape architect quite a bit on this. He chose shrubs that are very like thick branching, not like spindly, like they are very blocking, even if they don't have leaves on them specifically.
Yeah. So this
Okay.
is Chris. So what's the action item here? Is this just really like an FYI?
Yeah, it's just an
this
FYI
is
because
gonna-
sometimes if you guys were driving by and you'd be like, why is that clearing happening?
Right.
I just wanted
right,
to let you
yeah.
guys
Mhm.
know. And then I also wanted to let you know that the landscaping plan didn't change really a lot, but it changed a little bit because they added the berm. But they didn't lose any species.
Okay. Thanks, Laura.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just thinking though, before we move forward on the next agenda item, you know, some of the ones that we talk about, and then we don't always follow up as to if it's happened. Like, you know, I'm thinking of the gas station there on, was it Union and whatever, and there was another store. So maybe we put on the agenda once every, you know, few months to just get an update on some of the past projects to remember Amy had gone to the one on Union and they were gonna put in 5 trees or whatever?
Yes. Yep. I definitely think that's a good idea. I can update you. I did have the Rosada Mart actually on the last meeting just
Okay.
to show you the updated landscaping plan, but it hasn't been implemented. So it would be nice. What might be nice for you guys is when they're implemented a little bit, I could take some pictures and update you so that you can see that even though it's disheartening sometimes to see like 9 acres cleared, you are still making quite a difference with some of these projects.
Yeah, and wasn't there another building on Union where we were trying to block, was a 2-story or
Oh,
was
at
it a gun
Eastern,
store?
yes.
A gun
Yeah.
store.
We had a lot of comments on Eastern Parkway, but they have not submitted a building permit yet. Like all of those, so far, the Tree Council has pretty much taken all of your recommendations. At the very beginning of the Tree Council, the planning board,
The planning
yeah,
board.
the planning board shied away a little bit, but I think they've gotten so much comments on trees now that they pretty much incorporate every comment that you guys give them to either directly into the plans or by resolution. So
Okay,
even on Eastern Parkway, you guys had a lot of comments on Eastern Parkway and they incorporated them directly into the site plan.
Catherine
Okay.
was asking about the State Street gun store.
Oh, that one still hasn't started construction either.
okay.
That's a limb.
So yeah, maybe, you know, on our agenda, once every few months, we do kind of a back look of the ones
Yeah,
and get a status of where they are, just so we know.
that's a really good idea. I like it.
Okay. So any other comments on these? Shall we move on to the calendar then for 2023?
So it doesn't mean that we won't cancel a meeting or two. And if you guys wanted, we could even already, schedule another month missing. But the only month that I couldn't get a tree council meeting in, unless we put it on a Tuesday, but sometimes Tuesdays are hard because they're not on this calendar, but like historical committee and stuff meets on Tuesday. And sometimes it's hard to get a room, but I couldn't find a date on November.
Okay.
because if we scheduled it on the 30th, it would only be 2 weeks to the December meeting. And so I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel like it's probably okay not to have a November meeting.
Okay.
It's not like a super busy time for the tree council.
And if we need to, when we get closer to that date in November of 2023, we can find something.
It's true.
Which I do just want to mention that I won't be able to make December's meeting, December 8th.
Oh, this
Yeah.
upcoming
This
December?
coming one, yeah.
Okay.
So. Okay, the next, which kind of falls into 2023 recruitment and chair. I think we need to talk about this a little bit because we our numbers are dwindling. Laura, you said that Amy Hawansky has
Step down.
stepped down due to her
Job.
new job.
She still very
Um,
much wants to help, but she knows that she can't come to meetings or really do a lot of stuff. So if we ever need her, she says she's got our back, but she doesn't want to take up a seat because she can't come.
Sure. And like with the great tree hunt, when John asked about what that one tree was, I reached out to Andrea and
Yeah,
she was
Andrea
great.
still helps. Yeah, Andrea
We-
loves to help. Like Andrea wanted to come help for Arbor Day too. Remember?
Yes, yes. So,
I have some thoughts of some people. I'm
it's,
gonna say.
it's saying that internet connection is very unstable. So you may lose me here, but it keeps blacking, my computer keeps blacking out for a moment. But so I think we need to think about enlisting new members, and then at the end of the year, I'm stepping down as chair. So we'll need a new chair for 2023 also. So do we have any thoughts?
Did you guys turn and look at me?
Don't you normally chair if Carol isn't here?
I think I did once or twice.
Oh.
How long did you get on the committee? On the council?
Well,
Yeah,
remember-
this is Chris. Yeah, I guess I was looking, I've got a lot going on also in my personal life and work. So if needed, I could, stay on the council. I realize it's kind of like a critical time to kind of maintain the, integrity of the council. But I definitely have to kind of like dial back, not that I do a lot now, but kind of dial back what I can do. And try to make as many meetings as I can, but so that's kind of where I'm at currently.
So I feel like we have either Jonathan or Amanda as a possibility for chair, because it would be kind of strange if a new person came in to have them be chair. Like I would typically recommend the consistency of at least having a member that is carrying forward be chair. Just think about it. I was actually looking at both of you, but he turned away from me. So
I've been on the council
Well,
a
I'm
long
like
time.
looking in this direction. So.
Well, and one time we did it for short periods of time.
we used to rotate it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah, I
sure
guess
how
it's
good
just-
that was. Maybe
Yeah, I
we
guess
could
I'm
do it for
thinking-
6-month intervals or something.
I mean, I'd be happy to fill in order to just go through the agenda. You know what I mean? As far as kind of walking in, like in December, if you want. I think that I'm open that date. I could, step in to, walk us through the agenda. But beyond that, yeah, I don't have the capacity. But, so I don't know what others are thinking, Amanda, Jonathan, I don't know, kind of where you guys are at. But I guess I'm just thinking too, maybe we need to kind of focus, efforts more on recruitment in the upcoming year and try to kind of maintain some of the minimum programming, but focus on recruitment for upcoming years. Because I guess I thought we discussed this potentially in the summer. And at that point in time, we thought that we had enough members. And so
Well, I did.
I guess it's kind of surprising that all of a sudden now we don't have, we have a quorum.
Well,
What about
we had a
Amy,
lot of appointed members, but they're sort of, so I reached out sort of individually to all of you. It was just a BCC so that you could respond to me like, in confidence, but just to get a sense of who's coming back. Like Daryl is an appointed member, but he's not able to come back. So I reached out to Amy Sarah Lamina, and she said she did want to come back, but she hasn't been to a meeting, I think, in at least 6 months. But if we can get her to come back more regularly, I haven't heard from anybody else except, well, I think you said.
I already thought,
So
yeah.
Jonathan already said he'd be fine to come back.
Come back.
So.
Not the chair, but not
Well, you do
Do-
a lot of work on the website.
Do we know of any other people that we could reach out to? Chris, there was somebody at Arbor Day, remember, who expressed interest?
There was a lady that I
Yeah.
was
Yeah, so I guess it's just maybe we need to kind of launch a more formalized recruiting process. Like I don't know what that would look like, but I guess other boards that I've worked on, you know, there has been more of like a sustainability effort, you know. So how do we sustain the numbers of the board and active board over time? Because a number of us now have been on here for 4 or 5, 10 years in some cases. So, right.
I have a few thoughts of people to ask. I've been meaning to do it.
That's great.
Okay, and what if we, Laura, maybe we can't do this, but in an email push, say that we're looking for a new,
Oh, no, we
council
can
member.
definitely do that. Yeah, for sure. I find
Okay.
that we get more people when we recruit friends. But I will definitely, guys, whenever you're ready, like when I hear back from more people, I want to get a sense of how many vacancies we'll have. But I will definitely do an email push asking just the public at large who's enrolled to see if there's any interest in the tree council.
and is there a minimum and maximum number for our council?
So we have a maximum of 9.
Okay,
We typically don't run a committee with more than 7. So we have some flexibility between 7 and 9, but you don't really want to drop below 7
okay.
because
And this, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're reaching out to individual members because I think we need active members,
yeah,
who are attending on a regular basis.
yeah, because our roster is still 7, but we really only have 4.
Hmm.
Laura, Amy Huansky, would she know of anybody like in her circle that is, because she's very knowledgeable.
Yeah,
with
that's a
tree
good idea. I
you
can
know.
ask her if she knows
knows
anybody.
anybody?
Hmm.
Because, getting someone with that depth of knowledge.
Yeah, like with all her landscaping company.
Yeah, and Chris too, in your area of work, Chris, if you know of other residents that have a background.
Yeah, I got an idea of one person. Steve Young. Do you know if he's on one of the other committees potentially, Laura?
His name doesn't sound
botanist.
familiar to me, so I don't think he's on any committees that I run.
I will reach out to him and see if he's interested.
Yay.
Okay.
Can you reach out to him?
resident of Niskayuna.
So really the only qualification is that they have to be a resident of Niskayuna. It's real, and they should like trees.
Yes, yes.
But they don't have to be tree experts or anything, just willing to help because we can help.
Or I would be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't use it a lot, but I have a degree in forestry, so I don't mind helping people learn about the trees. They can be very diverse in their skill sets. I think that's completely fine.
Isn't there someone on the Conservation Advisory Council that worked with Amy at Fadigan? And
I don't know. It's possible.
I think her name is Laura.
I don't have a Laura on the
No?
CAC right now,
Okay.
but if there is one that worked with Amy and that likes environmental things,
Yeah.
She worked at Fadigan.
maybe if you run into her, you can mention we need people at Tree Council.
Well, I did, but
Oh.
I didn't. I wasn't sure if Amy would have more.
I can reach out to Amy if you want and just ask. Or are you going to Laura? Doesn't
No, if
matter.
you can, Carol, that'd be great. I'm sure she'd like to talk to you. She and I talked for a long time because you guys know Amy pretty well by now. She was very guilt ridden, but I said the same thing to Chris. Like, you guys have already put in so much time and done so much good for the town of Niskayuna. Like, if you need to take care of your life, we totally got your back, and you don't have to feel guilty.
Yeah, she has done a lot. And yeah, I've talked to her when I was at Fadigan's fairly recently, but
Yeah, well, she took she's a teacher now at North College.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
at the same time, I totally get Amy's perspective, but I am, want to make sure that the integrity of the committee and, you know, that we have enough people moving forward. So that's kind of the balance that I'm trying to maintain.
Which is
Mhm.
much appreciated because right now we
Yes.
really need
Yeah.
you.
Exactly. Okay, shall we move on to the reports? Public outreach. We did have the Great Tree Hunt. We identified the winners. Laura, I don't think we've sent out the email, right? I sent that to you.
Right. I put it in the packet actually.
Yes.
It's approved by the supervisor to go out. So it didn't go out today. My guess is it'll go out tomorrow. She approved it to go out. So it's just a matter of it being posted now. It's done and ready to go. I rearranged what's on the Tree Council
Yeah.
website just slightly so that the winners were closer to the top.
Yep, that's fine.
Um,
Have we notified the winners yet?
No, because do we have their emails?
Mhm.
Oh, we do. I would like to do that, but I don't have their emails.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, if you want to send them to me. Yeah, I would like to do that because after we do the email blast, I can just group email them and say, "Here's your certificate." Because this is the certificate I made for them.
On the-
Yeah, that's a
on
nice
the PowerPoint
certificate.
I sent out,
Yeah.
their emails are on that.
Oh, it's on your PowerPoint. Okay. And I forgot. Can you write that down for me? Thank you.
Wish I had a virtual assistant.
So we got about 20 trees, which is a good for, I think, for the first time. I think there's a lot more out there, but yeah, look at this tree. I keep trying to find this tree.
Isn't
I
it
just walked the
insane?
bike path again.
Linda's been trying to find it too, and she hasn't been able to find it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is puzzle. I think we need to ask them, help us find where this tree is.
That tree is enormous.
So,
big.
because I walked from Lock 7 down to the bridge that goes to Niski Isle and back and was looking, with the leaves down. I thought I'd be able to see it, but I wasn't.
Hmm.
So,
I wonder if, Linda hasn't been able to find it either.
okay.
Didn't they say it was closer to where the water treatment plant driveway
I
is?
think that's what they put in their notes. Do you remember,
They
Jonathan?
did.
Sure.
They did, but still, I didn't feel, I couldn't walk down the water treatment because the gate was closed, but I could see the path, the
Okay.
path the whole way. I didn't see any big trees. I'm gonna try again. Linda,
When
what
I
did you
email him, I can
find?
ask him if he can send me like a better description or some
yeah.
GIF coordinates or something, because I almost want to put a sign on that tree, like biggest tree in Niskayuna.
Maybe you can give a tour.
We could give a tour. Yeah, super cool. I, for the record, loved the pictures that the people sent in. I love the ones of how tiny they were to the big trees. I love the one of the guy hugging the trees. Like it makes me so happy to look at the pictures of the big trees. Like I was looking at them again today because I was getting this email blast out and I was like, oh my gosh, I like these so much. I don't know if I
Yeah.
can,
Yeah, I think it was nice to do. I'm hoping if we do it again, we'll get even more. And I think what you put in there, Laura, was good, that if other people have them, to submit them to us.
Yeah, because I started a file, like I'll keep a running total of what people submit, and also I love the smiles. Like you kind of have to zoom in, but it just makes people so happy to be standing next to their big trees.
And if you click on the picture, it magnifies.
Yeah, like I just love the smiles.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that's super great. I was very happy with every one of the submittals. I hope we get some more.
Yeah, and in the tree management plan that we'll talk about, we said something about recognizing trees. So
Mhm.
by doing this hunt, we're kind of meeting that action item that we had said we were going to do. So,
But I appreciated you and John putting that together. That made it very easy for me to do the email blast. So I would expect that to go out tomorrow as soon as the IT guy is able to put it up, because Jamie did approve it today. So
great. Okay, next is Tree City recertification.
I just put that on there to remind me and you, really, Carol, because early December is usually when we start working on that.
Yeah, and we have to get it in by the end of December, right? Which
Yes.
is kind of a tough time
It
with
is
the
a tough
holidays.
time. Typically, though, I think we've gotten it in around like the 20th before.
Okay.
Which really,
So-
all that you just need to poke me like early December, and I'll do it.
Okay, I'm writing down poke Laura.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I think what takes the longest is remembering the password.
I can be
Yes.
Oh,
We struggle with that every year.
every year, and then I reset it.
I think that's what
And then
happens.
Carol
You and I
can't get
go
in.
in and we can't get in and we
Yeah,
reset it
exactly.
and then,
Scary.
yeah.
So we can work on that.
So, okay. So the tree inventory, tree master plan, Chris, do you want to give an update on that?
I'm actually driving, Carol.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
give an overview, please,
Sure,
of the
sure.
meeting?
So, Amanda, Chris, Laura, and I have all been working on the tree master plan. And we're at a point where we met yesterday with a consultant who had originally drafted the plan a number of years ago now, a few years ago. And so Chris has some comments that he's going to give to the consultant by Monday, and then the consultant is going to kind of massage, based on what we went through yesterday. He took notes and he's going to get it to a point where we can send it out for review to the town supervisor, the highway department, and the other town departments that we need to. So we're getting it closer to the finish line here. So one thing we had mentioned at the last meeting, and I don't think any of us did, at least I didn't, but we talked about taking pictures of the fall trees, because some of them we could put in the tree master plan, but did anyone do that? I didn't.
I did a
Carol?
little bit.
Yeah, I've got some photos too, Carol, of different sized trees in my neighborhood. So I did take some past photos. So do we have just thinking like a box folder or some type of Dropbox folder that we could put a bunch of photos in and then he could choose from?
I can make you one and share it to you like a Google Drive.
Yeah, just some folder that we could dump a bunch of photos and then he could choose, what he has. But I have some pictures of, of trees in the neighborhood, different sizes, small ones, big ones. But then it'd be great to have some photos of maybe from the contest of just trees
Yeah.
and people, yeah.
And we do have the fall photo contest from last year we can pick from too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. And before we move on to the tree planting subcommittee, one thing that the consultant did bring up, which I thought was interesting, because we've been struggling with planting trees and with the highway department's availability, and if we could have a specific project that we could maybe go out for bid to do. And Laura, I didn't want to bring it up yesterday, but do you think that's a possibility for a specific project?
I haven't run it past anybody, but I mean, I thought it was a really interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's a possibility, but it hasn't gone beyond my office yet.
Sure. And I mean, we could, have a defined scope of a certain area that needs trees, in which if the highway department doesn't have the availability, maybe we could do that to.
Yeah, like we would come up with a map, come up with a list of sites
Yeah.
and the species that we want, and then see who could get it.
One of the things that I really liked that came out of yesterday's meeting was that within our plan, we kind of established like an objective for how many trees we want to plant per year. So like we want to plant 50 or maybe 75 trees each year over the next 5 years to kind of maintain or to, keep up with removals or even replace the trees that have been removed. So I thought that then that way it helps us to kind of say, well, here's what our current goal or objective is. if it can't be met through the existing capacity, then here is an alternative option.
Yeah, yeah. And I also like the fact that he said, you know, even though our council is fighting the good fight and we've got Laura, you know, supporting and lobbying for us, somebody, you know, like at the town board level, we need it coming from the top down also, to give it more bite. And Laura, I know you are, but the more we can get, you know, because we're just a volunteer organization, so
Yeah. The more it's, you know, the more it's incorporated in the budget, the more it's being asked about by the town supervisor, the town board, the more it becomes like everyday kind of job, the better off, you know, the tree council will be, because we just want it to
exactly.
be some part of the day-to-day operations that, you know, we're helping with, but we're not trying to drive.
Right. And if there's any better liaison or, you know, communication or meeting with them, we're more than happy to do that. Or invite them more to our council meetings, or do they get our meeting minutes or,
No, but you know, it's not a bad idea to just start sending them. They're always invited. I think I used to invite them. I used to actually report to their committee about the tree council, but things get shifted fairly regularly at the town of Niskuna, so not doing that right now, but maybe I could do that again
yeah, just try how we can get a closer association.
with them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was very, I think, worthwhile to meet with the consultant yesterday, not only on our plan, but he came up with some good ideas.
Hmm.
Okay, and then the tree planting subcommittee, the 1409 Via Del Mar.
Yeah, so this is the one that I was talking to you guys about at our meeting with the consultant Weston and Sampson yesterday on our master plan. I did have a person that has been trying to get a tree planted in their front yard for 2 years reach out to me again and just say they really love trees and they were just wondering where they were on the list. And I don't know, I you know, still don't really understand the status of the planting list, but I was able to get a tree for this one. So the 1409 Via Del Mar is going to get a tupelo and should be planted within the next week.
Okay, is that what they wanted?
That is
Or
what they wanted. I sent
Okay.
them our master tree list and they went through it, and I told them, you know, like in that area, like maybe a swamp white oak or a tupelo, but I gave him the whole list and he wanted the tupelo.
Okay,
And Northern had some really good tupelos available, so I think we should be getting that within the next week or two over there, so that'll look nice.
great. And I'm going to put in a plug for paper bark maples.
Yay!
We have one in our yard and they're smaller than a regular maple, and I think they have a prettier leaf and they have a very curly bark, like kind of like the river birch. And it's just a beautiful tree, a small size that it'd be great for a street tree. And I forgot how pretty it was. So, you know, and it has like 4-season interest with the bark and everything. So I'm lobbying for that to be on our master tree list and
Yeah.
to plant some of that species. If, you know, if people want maples, which a lot do, it's kind of a unique maple that would
Yeah.
still meet their criteria.
And the leaves turn like orangey red, right?
Yeah, they turn a bright orangey red, but they're a more delicate leaf than the maple. Somebody said it's kind of like a deconstructed maple leaf.
That's
It's a
cool.
little more light and airy.
Yeah, is it native to New York, Carol? Just wondering.
I'm not sure, but I mean, we've been planting ginkgos and other things, so
Yeah, I think we had a goal. We should just, you know, check that. That was one of our, I think in the plan we talked about that, but we should just make that sure that's in there of what percentage of our trees should be native versus non-native that are being planted.
yeah, I'll
our
look
goal.
that up to see if it is. I don't think it has to be native to New York. I think we're just saying native trees versus, you know,
Native to
Yeah.
the area.
It's native
New
to
York.
Central
Yeah.
and Eastern China.
what's that?
It's the paper bark maple is Acer Grecium. Patricium, and it's native to central and eastern China.
Oh, boy. It's still very
It's okay,
pretty.
though. I mean, but like to Chris's point, like we, to plant some of them because they may be resistant to pests, but not, balance them with the natives.
Mhm.
Just a quick note too. I'm super excited about this homeowner that got a tree, but just to recognize that this is not an ideal, process. That a landowner that has to make like multiple calls because there could be somebody that's higher up on the list, and maybe they don't have the time to call or whatever. So I do wonder about the equity aspect of this. That somebody who just continues to call, they get a tree, but somebody who's been waiting for a while but just doesn't call doesn't get a tree.
Yeah,
So
I
it's fine, but
No.
it's not an ideal way of.
No, Chris, totally agree. And I know a
allocating-
few years ago, we had talked about this process, and I don't think we ever got resolution that, who does it go? I mean, it goes to the highway department, but could we be involved at all?
yeah, because
Right.
I can't even verify who's on that list. Like he told me that he thought he was on the list, but he never heard back, and so he wasn't really sure.
Right.
And I just managed to twist the arm of the highway department because I caught him, in a moment. But I agree with you, Chris. There may be people who are on the list that I don't know about or I don't understand. Like this one, I was just able to leverage in the moment.
Right.
But yeah, I
And
had
that's
no
great.
idea.
I guess I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to stay positive, but just acknowledging that like people that like request something, it's not necessarily the kind of the equitable process that we want.
Right, it's
And
not a
so,
good process.
Is this list something that can be we can
Shared.
see and look in?
Yeah, I can ask for it again. He's actually come to 2 Arbor Days, and both Arbor Days he's caught me and been like, I really want a tree.
That's great.
Oh, wow.
I guess one of the, this is just a side note, Jonathan, but one of the things that we did talk about was could you just create an online platform that somebody could just enter in their information, into, and then the list is public essentially, or at least we would have access to it.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And if you think that we can do it, I'll set it up on the webpage. It won't take very long. I think I got in a sense before that.
They don't want us to do that.
Yeah, that we have to.
Right.
It has to go to the highway department, so it's not just our call.
I've
Right.
gotten that sense before too, but I mean, it's possible that if we were able to set it up and really just start making these planting sites for them and making their life easier, then maybe they would release that a little bit more.
Yeah. But of course, there's an
And-
currently existing list that we got to
and-
get through first.
If there
You
is
can
one.
get it.
And
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on at Arbor Day have,
A list,
a
sign-up
list.
I think we should do that.
because that's where we get a lot of people, obviously, who are interested in trees. And if we had a table or a booth that said, do you need or want a street tree, sign up and here's here's choices. But what's going to be tough is if they do that and then we never get back to them.
Well,
Right.
we'll have to set we should have a game plan for that ahead of time. But if we have
Right.
a list of addresses of people that we knew wanted trees, that may be able to help us set it up a little. And just thinking out loud, what else might be cool? If on the next Arbor Day, like we could set up like a true to scale right of way demonstration, and at that demonstration we could have like a sign up, because I still think that the majority of people who come to talk to us about trees don't understand the right of way. So it might be kind of cool if we could spray paint some lines off the edge of pavement, and be like,
Yeah.
edge of pavement, wherever we are in whatever park, be like, okay, here's the right of way. And then we could have a couple trees and containers like in the right of way or something, just so people could kind of get a sense.
Yeah.
And then be like, do you want a tree in your right of way? Sign up here.
Mhm.
But I guess I'm just thinking, I don't know, to our ability, depending on what the committee's capacity is, certainly trying to achieve kind of our minimum activities, but then potentially this, trying to improve this process might be one project we undertake or something for next year.
Yeah, and I think in January is a good time that we go through based on the number of people we have. what projects, what are our goals for the year that we're going to try to work on.
Right. That's exactly right.
So,
So just randomly, the paperbark maple is endangered in its native range, and its IUCN listed as threatened.
Look at that.
The paperbark maple is endangered in China. It's an endangered species, and worldwide it's IUCN threatened. So it's just interesting. I mean, maybe on a global scale, it's worth planting it if we can get it to grow over here.
yeah, no, ours is doing wonderfully in our yard. So, so I'm lobbying for that. If I find spots, I'll let you know.
Okay. Or find them in the nurseries.
Yeah.
We'll just buy them all up and start planting them in places.
My husband said there were some over by the Albany airport at one time. A row of them. So. Okay, so yeah, I guess we have the final meeting in December, and then we should be thinking about what our goals are. And I think recruitment is a big goal for next year, but also, we obviously have Arbor Day. We're trying to finish up the tree master plan. What else do we, if anything, we want to undertake for the year?
The residential request
Program.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
probably. Because we've been talking about that for
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Maybe as part of our outreach to the highway department and adoption through the town board, we can see if that is some bridge we can cross and say, hey, are we able to start taking names of people who want trees so that we can be more helpful to the highway department when they're looking for planting sites? And they might be like, yay, go ahead.
Now, it may come with that they want us to evaluate trees. So,
Yeah. Well, Jean and I did the last tree, the one that was
okay.
Antwerp and Plum. We actually, and I talked to Carol about this. We recommended that it not be taken down because it wasn't unhealthy enough. But there is a sightline issue, which I was like, well, the tree council doesn't comment on sightlines. Like, our recommendation would be that it's not unhealthy enough to take down, but the highway department is probably going to take it down because of a sightline safety issue. But because our recommendation was to keep it, they're working with the homeowner to plant 2 more trees. So it doesn't, they don't just get a pass for having it taken down. They have to get 2 more trees on their property. And the highway department seemed willing to enforce that. But yeah, if we can, Jean and I can try and help with that, or Linda.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else? So I guess, someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second it.
Okay. And it was at a second, John?
Yeah, second, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. I think, looking back, we've done a lot this year.
Really have.
So,
Yep.
and it'll be good to let the winners know of the great tree hunt that they've won. So,
So some of them didn't leave information.
Jean, did I
Thanks, Carol.
yep. Thank you all. I'm going to drop off. Thanks again.
Okay.
Thanks.
Carol.
Bye.
Oh,
Chris.
we have to stop the meeting, but I don't think I had the right name. Did I have the right name associated that in my email? Can you look?
Check it out. Yeah.